The loneliness of being the self-improvement friend. You're the one people come to for advice. You read the books. You reflect. You grow. You notice your patterns. You regulate your emotions. You try to be better. And yet, sometimes in quiet moments, you feel strangely alone. Not because you don't have friends, but because you feel like you've outgrown the version of you they still expect. No one talks about this kind of loneliness. The loneliness of being the self-improvement friend. You're the aware one. The one who understands attachment styles. The one who suggests therapy. The one who pauses before reacting. When conflict happens, you're the one who says, "Let's communicate." When someone spirals, you hold the emotional space. And slowly, without noticing, you become the stable one. The insightful one. The grounded one. But inside, you sometimes want to be messy. Uncertain. Held. Instead, you feel pressure to stay composed. Psychology has a name for this dynamic. It's called role entrapment. In social psychology, roles stabilize group identity. Once you become the wise one or the mature one, your brain and everyone else's begins protecting that role. Because roles create predictability. And the human brain loves predictability. The brain is a prediction machine. It constantly asks, what version of this person should I expect? So once your social circle encodes you as the self-aware one, any deviation from that feels destabilizing. Not just to them, to you. You begin editing yourself. Not consciously, but subtly. You don't vent as much. You don't spiral publicly. You process privately. And over time that creates distance. Not because you're better, but because you're alone in your internal processing. Here's the truth. You are not lonely because you've grown. You are lonely because growth changes social equilibrium. In systems theory, when one part of a system changes, the entire system shifts. But systems resist change. If you become more reflective, more self-aware, more intentional, the people around you may unconsciously resist that shift. Not because they don't love you, but because your growth creates contrast. And contrast triggers discomfort. Your awareness shines a light on patterns others may not want to examine. So they keep interacting with the older version of you. And you begin feeling unseen. But this doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've stepped into a new identity. Before your environment fully adjusted. That gap. That transition. That's where the loneliness lives. Let's go deeper. There are 3 brain processes happening here. Your brain wants internal consistency. Once you see yourself as the self-improvement person, your prefrontal cortex reinforces behaviors that match that identity. This is called self-concept maintenance. You act in ways that protect the story of who you are. So even when you're tired, even when you want to be less put together, you hesitate. Because deviating from that identity feels unsafe. Identity to the brain equals stability. And stability equals survival. When you're the reflective one, you often become the emotional regulator of the group. Neuroscience shows that emotional regulation activates the prefrontal cortex to calm the amygdala. That takes energy. When you repeatedly regulate not only yourself, but others, you experience cognitive depletion. It's subtle, but over time it feels like quiet exhaustion. And exhaustion without recognition turns into loneliness. Humans have 2 deep drives: to grow and to belong. But growth often creates temporary separation. From an evolutionary standpoint, being separate from the tribe was dangerous. So when you evolve beyond old dynamics, your nervous system interprets it as mild social threat. That's why growth can feel isolating. Not because it is wrong, but because your brain equates difference with risk. Your loneliness isn't weakness. It's your nervous system adjusting to a new level of identity. So what do you do with this? Not how do you fix it, but how do you integrate it? Here's a framework grounded in psychology. You don't have to be self-aware all the time. Research on authenticity shows that psychological well-being increases when behavior aligns with internal state, not social expectation. Pick one trusted person. Let yourself be unpolished. Not dramatic. Just human. Let them see you unsure. This rewires your brain's association between vulnerability and social rejection. When identity becomes singular, it becomes fragile. If you are only the growth friend, any imperfection feels threatening. Self-complexity theory suggests that people with multiple identity domains handle stress better. You are not just the reflective one, the mature one, the emotionally regulated one. You are also curious, creative, playful, confused sometimes. Expanding your identity reduces the pressure of maintaining one role. Sometimes loneliness happens because you've outgrown your current circle in one dimension. But growth isn't vertical. It's lateral. Instead of looking down or ahead, look sideways. Find people who are exploring at your current level of depth. Not to replace your friends, but to expand your environment. Your brain needs mirroring, and mirroring reduces social threat. Growth is not linear. Neuroscience shows that stress can temporarily reactivate old neural pathways. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means your brain uses familiar circuits under load. If you allow yourself occasional messiness without labeling it as inconsistent, you reduce identity rigidity. Rigidity increases loneliness. Flexibility restores connection. Here's the mental model. Imagine you're renovating a house. Your inner world is changing. Walls are moving. Rooms are expanding. Light is entering new spaces. But the people in your life are still using the old blueprint. So sometimes they knock on doors that no longer exist, or expect you in rooms you've redesigned. The loneliness is because the house is wrong. It's because the map hasn't updated yet. Over time, maps update, but only if you stop pretending the house hasn't changed. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to perform wisdom. You don't need to carry the emotional temperature of every room. You are allowed to evolve and still need support. Those two truths can coexist. If you are the self-improvement friend, the reflective one, the aware one, the one who tries, there is nothing wrong with you for feeling lonely sometimes. Growth rearranges social gravity, but it does not remove your need for connection. You are not meant to be the guide in every conversation. You are allowed to sit down, to be confused, to be unfinished, and still belong. The loneliness you feel is not a sign to shrink. It is a sign you are between versions of yourself. And in that in-between space, it's quiet, but it's not empty. It's where your next circle begins to form. Slowly, naturally, without you having to carry it alone.